It, so from your standpoint, I guess your third year in pro ball, you get a shot in the big leagues, right?
Yeah.
But then you never get another opportunity. How do you stay motivated in the game that long to have over 20 years in it now and never get another big league chance till this year, really?
I love the game. I love playing the game. I love coaching the game. I never really, you know, it's hard to say I didn't put stock in where I was. I tried to be in the moment where I was, and took the approach that every day I'm gonna do the best that I can on any given day wherever I'm at. And I always just kind of took that approach, and I always felt like as a player, just keep grinding, keep working, keep going. And on the coaching side, it was very similar. I mean, I enjoyed every stop along the way. I enjoyed every position that I've had, and I love being in the game. I've been a baseball junkie since I was a little kid, and so it's just one of those things. I don't even never really even thought about that aspect of it, about getting frustrated with it or anything like that. Just enjoyed being in the game.
So there was no point where you started to think, do I need to do something different?
Well, that was when I did shut it down after 11 years. It was one of those things. I was actually throwing harder than I'd ever thrown in my career, and I had three little boys at home, and that was the decision really, to go home and be with them. When you start realizing, you start getting videos of your kids playing in soccer games and videos of your kids playing in Little League games, and you start looking back and that your dad was at every game that you were ever at, and then you start thinking, all right, well, I'm starting to get to the back end of my playing career. As much as I love the game, it's a family decision at that point. And, I was able to go home and raise my kids through those formative years and early years. And then going back into professional coaching once they hit that high school age. So it worked out really well for me. I like it. I like the decisions that I made along the way.
What did you do in that interim when you weren't in baseball then?
Did a couple different things. I went into commercial real estate right out of the gate, and then 9/11 hit, and that kind of shut down. So did some other things, but really the main thing was staying. My coach, my boys' travel ball teams and Little League teams and all that kind of stuff, and it was just kind of helped out my wife because it was kind of she was working at the time, and she's in television, so I was able to be there so she could kind of pursue some of her things, and we just made it work and enjoyed those years with the boys.
How many years was that?
7, I believe it was.
So obviously you didn't lose that urge to get back into baseball because you could have gotten out in 7 years and settled into another life pretty easily, right? But you decided you wanted to come back.
Absolutely, and that was the goal all along, really. After the first couple of years, kind of started setting some sights out there, and I was doing some stuff with the D-backs Scout League team and staying involved in the game to a certain extent, and knowing that my wife and I had talked about it, where once the boys were in high school and kind of got through those elementary school years and some of those formative years, we felt more comfortable. Me going back into the game at, as they hit high school. Talked to some people about the scouting side of things and stuff like that, where I could be home more. But I knew my passion was on the field. I enjoy being with the players. I enjoy the relationships. I think my strength was on the field, and that's where I wanted to stay.
So when you got back into it, the Rockies were the first organization you worked with?
First organization I called. Yep. I played with them in '95 and 2000 in AAA, and when I reached out, just happened to be at the right time. I reached out in September, and they were having instructional league in Tucson at the time. Sent an email, got an email back within 5 minutes, and said, get to Tucson tomorrow. So I drove to Tucson the next day, and pretty much it was from there on. I was been with the Rockies.
Was it? I mean, did you think of other teams, or was that just the team is like, I'm going to try this first, and then I'll go somewhere else?
You know what? It was funny because I was going through a guidebook of a bunch of different names and people in Major League Baseball, and first one came to us, Colorado. Billy Guyvet at the time, he had been one of my coaches in college, so I sent him email, and he's the one that told me to get there. And when I got there, to everybody that I interviewed with and talked to, I'd known from my previous years with the Rockies, so it felt comfortable. The only other team I contacted was Cleveland, and they didn't have a position at the time, but I talked to Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro, and they were both excited for me to getting back in and stuff like that. So I felt good, but really those were the only two teams that I contacted, because that first day the Rockies, told me to get down to Tucson. So I just kind of went to Tucson, and it was over and done with pretty much that fast.
How surprised were you when you finally got the opportunity to come to the big leagues this year? I mean, you spent a lot of time down below.
I don't know if it was a surprise. I just felt like it was just part of the process, part of the progression that's happened. Obviously, I had a really good relationship with Darren Holmes, good friend of mine. So, never really, you don't want to take somebody's job. It's a friend of yours. But when he moved on and they asked me, I was very excited for the opportunity. It's been a strange road since that day, but here we are.
Yeah, you get your big chance in the big leagues and you go home for 2 months.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. I'm like, all right, well, it'll happen at some point,
Did you know Foster real well before this, or had you? I assume you got to know him the last couple of years, if nothing else.
Yeah, really over the last 5 years. I mean, I've been up and down here for the last 5 years. Spent a lot of time. I've been, with the club throughout spring trainings all the way through for the last, 4 or 5 years. My relationship with Darren and Steve has been really good all the way, since day one. Really, I felt like that we've clicked pretty well. So, coming here with Fosse is great. I have a great relationship and feel very comfortable around him, and makes things a little bit easier when you walk into a situation, into a job, and you feel like everybody, well already.
Well, I guess another thing too is that so many of their young players, including the pitchers, come out of their system.
Yep.
So even when you're up here in your first year in your full-time job, most of these guys, particularly the ones that probably need a little more direction to get big league ready.
Yeah, and that's been great, and that's I think the part of the reason that I got the job is because the relationship that I've had with this group coming through. Whether some of the guys I coached, where I was a pitching coach in AA or AAA, and had them for a year or two, or over the last 3 years as a coordinator, getting to know them and seeing their development through the process. So, yeah, it's an easy transition, really.
So you go to college, but are you thinking of baseball the whole time you're in college, or when you're that age, are you thinking of, well, what am I going to do when I get through here?
Yeah, I went to college on a baseball scholarship. Went and played for one of the best coaches in the country, a former Rocky employee, and Dave Snow, and had a great 4 years at Loyola. Didn't get drafted. 3 days after the draft, got a phone call to go play. I mean, I'd already contacted after I didn't get drafted, and I'd contacted the Department of Forestry. I was going to go work in forestry and fight forest fires, and then got a call to go play baseball from the Angels, and said, well, fight forest fires, play some baseball. You know what, I'll give this baseball thing a shot for a year or two and see what happens. And, still in it.
So you had to deal with Billy Latchman?
A little bit, yeah. yeah, and got to know Marcel well over there. Got to know Bill. And then coming over here, getting to know Renee. So incredible family. But the opportunities in that organization were awesome. The people in the organization were great, just like here at that time.
Great. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no
Thank you
problem.
very much.
Thanks, Trace. Thomas Harding, you want to go ahead?
Hey, D. Scott. First of all, thanks for your patience. Secondly, Scott Ober, where does he stand right now as far as the preparation, getting ready to pitch here, and what are you seeing out of him here in summer camp?
He looks great right now. The arm is good. He's in a good place. I think he'll start moving quickly, and I know that was taking some precautions early. Making sure that he was healthy, but it was never anything with the arm. The arm is great. He's got a bullpen today, and he threw one 2 days ago, and he's got a rocket launcher on his right arm. So the thing jumps out of there even when he's going easy. It's jumping. So feel good with where he's at.
How proud are you guys of him? Just the way that he developed kind of quickly through the system, but then had to kind of step back and learn some things.
Yeah, it's the character of the player is tremendous. Scotty's one of the nicer people you'll ever meet, one of the better competitors you'll ever meet. I had him, in AA, AAA, and then as coordinator in here. Tremendous competitor, tremendous person. And, I think it shows a lot, to know he's, one of the player reps and dealing with a lot of the stuff that was going on this year. It took a lot of time and a lot of patience, and he has a lot of respect within from his teammates and inside the game.
Okay, so you said that that you were making sure of some things on health-wise, but it's nothing huge, right? It's a precaution because of what he had last year.
Yeah. I think it was more. He got a little tight on the flight coming in, and he's good to go. He looks great right now. So now it's just that build up, get him ready for that first week of the season. And
okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay, we saw Jairo Diaz come in last night. I understand that he was a little bit behind schedule a bit. How is he on the scale of catching up?
He's great. He was able to continue to throw. I saw him a lot this offseason. He was in a good place during this break. Arm's great. He had a good live BP last night, so he'll be a couple days off. He'll get back on the mound again, and I don't see why he shouldn't be ready for opening day.
Hey, one thing, just since we have you on video here, kind of stuff you and I talked about on the phone, but how enlightening was it, or heartening, I guess it was, to see how these guys prepared during this shutdown? The fact that you were able to move around Scottsdale, you had most of the staff there, you had the truck with the mound. You can kind of take me through that and talk about what it means to see these guys just be so diligent about preparation.
Yeah, well, when we shut down, everybody was so close. We were close to opening day. Guys were really ramped up and ready, and guys didn't really want to lose that feel that they had. So guys continued to throw. Guys were throwing at city parks and different places with our complex shut down, and as I told you earlier, it got where guys were wanting to get off the mound, just have some kind of slope to pitch off of. The high school fields were shut down. I contacted some coaches that I know and just couldn't get on to some of the high school fields and any place. So, just went and built a mound, went online, did a little DIY research and figured out how to build a mound, and made a little project with my son and I, built a mound, put it in the truck, and would go around to the parks and just let guys get off the slope a little bit. So tried to kind of each group that was playing at different parks and different times. Tried to hit them, once a week or so with the mound so they could get out there and just feel the slope.
Man, that's excellent. Hey, what's your son's name and how old is he?
Ryan, he is 24. He is he was supposed to be coaching with the Mariners this year in their minor league system, but he is shut down, so he's at home. But it was fun to have him there. As a it's not too often you get to do it yourself. Do little projects with your son when they're in their mid-20s.
That's right. All right. Let's see here. Hey, anybody young that in this camp that's really kind of caught your eye a bit here?
Yeah, I think Ryan Rollison's done a really nice job. He showed some maturity, showed some, kind of what he's made of in this, and I think he's opened some eyes. I think, Ryan Castellani has shown very well. Santos has shown well. I think, really all the young guys that have gone out there and competed really well and have kind of showed their character as well, fit in with the group and work hard and earn the respect of the veterans.
Santos kind of has an old school wind up delivery and it's fastball changeup there. I was impressed with what I saw last night, the way he worked in the zone. What are you seeing and what are the development areas for him?
And that's really what you saw is the development, the command aspect of things. He's a really good competitor, so he has a tendency to want to go a little harder and harder. And so just getting him to slow down and understand that he doesn't have to, ramp up and continue to go harder, that, staying in control with his delivery. But yeah, it's got a great arm. It's got really good secondary pitches that are kind of underrated, really, and the development process has been really good with him. Did a really nice job last year in Double-A with Merriman, and looking forward to seeing him continue to progress.
When it comes to the breaking pitches, what is it that he has?
He'll go slider and curveball.
Okay.
He's got all four pitches.
Great. All right. Are either of those pitches up there with his fastball or changeup?
I think that the slider is. I think the curveball's a little bit of a work in progress. It's good. It's got really good spin rate, but it's not quite there with the slider and the changeup yet. But it's coming fast.
Hey, and this will be the last one. But with Castellani, you saw him really fall league last year. What was it that you saw that allowed him to take that step forward? And I've seen it in camp in his live BPs too.
I think it's maturity. I think he's just kind of settled in and understands who he is as a pitcher, much more relaxed with his delivery, confident in what he's doing, and it's showing. He did a really nice job over this break of, going out, working hard, and being prepared for this camp.
It did seem that the injury last year, he came back from that pretty well. But did that allow him, in a way, to kind of do some reassessing on, hey, how much effort I have to put in? What really works for me?
Yeah, probably a little bit. I think anytime as a young player you have some injuries, I think you have a tendency to kind of look at things that you're doing and things I can change and adjust to hopefully prevent it from happening again. So he's done a great job. He's loose and comfortable.
Great. Hey, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Thank you, Darryl. Really, really appreciate you hopping on. Everyone else will have Buddy immediately after this. Thanks again, Darryl.
All right. Thanks, guys.